May I have a roll call?
Sorry.
Oh, wow. All right. Are we ready to go? Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Director Asner?
Here.
Director Byers? Here. Director Faulkner?
Here.
Director Hudson? Here. Director Mueller?
Here.
Vice President Petro? Here. And President Cuneo?
Here. And for pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Someone like to make a motion for approval of the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Governing Council results.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the results. That's what I need to do.
Amy, I think you read these, don't you, at this point? I believe.
Yeah. Motion for the governing council.
We do.
Oh, so moved.
Second.
Yes. I think you read these into the record at this point.
Yes, we're ready for those. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I.
Aye.
Your name.
Yuval has it.
Dan Cuneo.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support
I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of school director
of school director
in and for
in and for
Special School District of St. Louis County,
Special School District of St. Louis County,
Missouri,
Missouri,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
according to law,
according to law.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. All righty. With this, we have a reorganization, okay? And with the reorganization, first we have an election of president, we have an election of vice president. I believe the election of secretary and treasurer, those are usually done, those are internally. We don't specifically, we will elect those, but those don't come from the board. All righty. I'd like to take nominations now for the election of president.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Katie Quadron, President of the Board of Education. Second.
All right, are there any other nominations?
Mr. President, I excuse myself from these particular proceedings. One time.
At this point, I need a vote. Those who would, wait, an election. First one. Nominations closed now.
Yes.
Need a vote. All those in favor of Ms. Bowtroff as president? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. With that, congratulations. Let me turn you over. All right. You get these? I will keep them all.
Yes, my mom.
She's the change me.
Now, when Jan had that gavel, she brought it home. I just want you to know.
Don't think I'm doing that. All right. Next, we have the election of the vice president. Would somebody like to make a motion for the vice president?
I'd like to make the motion to nominate Dr. Byers.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Secretary and treasurer, we will do other meetings, but we will post them. And
Do we need to vote?
Oh, we can still vote right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
To nominate Miguel.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Amy Douglas Board of Education Secretary. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Would someone like to make a motion for the election of the treasurer?
I'd like to make the motion to nominate Jeff Hogg to serve as the treasurer of the Board of Education.
Until July 1st.
For now.
So July 1st. A momentary.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh,
Thank you.
You don't have to stop in July if you want to keep.
Wait a minute, he's going to Melville. That's my business. I'm in. He's got to go.
All right, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Make that motion.
Sorry, one more thing.
Yes. Oh, my gosh, thank you. Birthday.
Motion to approve the Board of Education meeting.
Do I have a motion to approve the Board of Education meeting norms?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now do I have a motion for adjournment?
Second.
Roll call.
No.
Not on this one.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. So now, we start with call to order for our business meeting. Do we need to keep the pledge?
So you're
No.
not going to do the one.
Can I get a roll call, Amy, for the business meeting?
Yeah.
Yes. One moment. Director Asner?
Here.
Director Byers?
Here.
Director Faulkner? Director Hudson?
She's a meeting to get Kurtz.
Okay. Director Mueller?
Here.
Director Cuneo?
Here.
And President Petrov? Here. All right, first thing on the agenda of 2.01 is the Board of Education Recognition Week.
Good evening,
be the first person to say good evening to President Pashoff and Vice President Byers. I'm Jennifer Henry. I'm the Executive Director of Communications. And I'm here tonight on behalf of the district's students, staff, and stakeholders to share our appreciation for the work and dedication that you do. We thank you for your advocacy, the countless hours of volunteer service, and your leadership. As a sign of our appreciation, you have with you at your seat a bag that has sweet treats in it, nothing but cakes, a branded fleece jacket with the SSD logo, and a canvas with a reminder about being inclusive. And we also noticed in the front of the card is tagged a card from student artwork that we included as well. So we wanted to thank you for your service tonight and appreciate all that you do. And if we could, I would love to have a board photo that we could post to the website. So
You want it in front or?
if you could come up front, that'd be great.
Okay. We're going that way. Yep.
Go around that way.
I gotta put my real glove on.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
One more?
Thank you.
Thank you. So next we have public comments. I don't think we have any tonight.
Can we just interject a public comment from the board? Okay. Can we just say something from the board to everyone who's here?
Sure.
I think from the board, we all want to say thank you to Dr. Hogg. We found out this week about your imminent move to be superintendent at Melville. We're both very thankful for the time we've had to work with you. We look forward to supporting you in your new role.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to work here. Thank you.
I would like to say, if you're gonna go anywhere at all, I'm glad you're going to.
I think the other thing we wanted to add, we wanted to say our thank yous to Dr. Canio and Dr. Pashoff for their service on the board leadership. So, thank you guys for that.
I have a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, next is the superintendent report, 5.01 Business Diversity Program Update.
So we have Dr. Harris and Dr. Hogg, who are going to be presenting on our biggest business diversity workshop that we just held this last weekend, and they're going to talk about what a success it was and what we learned from that process. So, turn it over to you guys.
Thank you. Good evening, President Potroff, Vice President Byers, Board of Education, Dr. Keenan. My name is Jeff Hogg. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Special School District. We're here this evening to talk about the Business Diversity Program. I'm going to turn it over to someone who I have come to respect greatly throughout this process, and that's Dr. Tanette Harris.
Good evening. Next slide, please. The purpose of the Business Diversity Program is to enhance economic opportunities for minorities, women, disadvantaged, and veteran business owners. Our program aligns with both the state and federal programs, which are designed to remove systemic barriers and award government contracts. Next slide, please. Outreach and engagement are vital tools to raise awareness about the Supplier Diversity Program. It is important to provide business owners with access to information, resources, and capital. Next slide, please. SSD has can you go back one slide for me, thank you. SSD has a rigorous DBE goal of 15%. The agencies that you see listed are responsible for certifying business owners in the state of Missouri. Next slide, please. SSD has a distinct honor of hosting the first Business Diversity Workshop. We held it on Saturday at Northview High School, and we had a vendors fair, a workshop, and also information on how individuals can conduct business not only with SSD, but with our partner districts. Next slide, please. As you're reviewing this data, I want to convey to Superintendent Keenan and to the board a story from a 72-year-old woman who was there. She lived 3 blocks away from Northview, and she said at 72, I've decided to start my own business because I want to leave a legacy for my children. She said, I retired from the public school district, and she said, I feel empowered today. And she wanted to say thank you. And on behalf of that young lady and all of the other 55 participants, as well as vendors, I cannot express to you the excitement, and I want you to know that this is just the beginning, and the best is yet to come. Next slide, please. This is a list, Jen Henry and her team. They were responsible for helping us to market this event. And all of these individuals on the left-hand side were present at the event to share information, not only about bid and contract opportunities, but also about financing. Next slide, please. A few examples of the individuals who were present. And listen, we had a very diverse group. There were some individuals from Wisconsin who wanted to find out how they too could conduct business with SSD in our partner districts. Next slide, please. Our panel was comprised of individuals from our partner district, and a lot of people said that this was the highlight of their day, not only being able to acquire knowledge about conducting business with SSD, but with partner districts as well. Also, the keynote speaker is at the bottom right-hand string, at the bottom right-hand. I believe that is Ms. Willard. Ms. Willard. Listen, she was exemplary. She and her staff they came up 2 days early, and they were prepared. They shared a lot of literature about certification and about ways to finance small businesses. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And this is our vendor registration form. Dr. Hall will. Thank you.
On that previous slide was the link to our website for our business diversity, and that gets you to this, our vendor registration form. One thing we want to do is increase the number of smaller businesses, MBEs, WBEs, who we work with. And so we have this on the website, and we also handed out a link to it at the workshop. And so we're asking companies to go ahead and register. We're going to have a database that purchasing can take a look at, maintenance can take a look at, and if there's a way to increase the business with those companies, we absolutely will. Next slide, please. This is one thing we are working on. We're working on an RFP scoring guide. This is in draft form, so this is in no way the final version. But what we would like to do is get to the point of assigning scores to it, so that when we bring it back to the board for approval, you understand why and where we were with the recommendation. Next slide, please. As we talked about in the Friday packet, we're going to change the briefing paper format to this here, and that's kind of cut in half. So the last 3 boxes are what we really want to show you. The sole source, or is it a co-op, is it an emergency, or is it a special circumstance? That will show you why it was purchased and how it was purchased per policy. And then on the bottom, where we're going to start to build another database, is it's an MBE, WBE designation, and then the company demographics. So we can really start to delve into the work even more. Next slide, please. And again, just want to go back to when we presented in the fall. The 2 yellow boxes are subcontractor initial bids and subcontractor quarterly numbers. We will update those as we go, so that you can see that what was promised is being paid. Next slide, please. And then this is the current mid-county bus facilities. We do not have updated numbers because we are just now out of the ground with walls, and everybody on this list is kind of a finishing type plumbing, electrical, doors. So they really haven't been involved in the work yet. Hegeman Plumbing actually has been paid like $1,600 out of what they're going to get. So we'll continue to bring those updates to you. Again, on behalf of Dr. Harris, we'd really just like to thank the board, Dr. Keenan, cabinet members, DLT members, finance, business, maintenance, facilities, and transportation for making Saturday just such a success. It was really cool, and as Dr. Harris mentioned, it's just the start of something good from here on out. So, next slide, please. That brings us to any questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I do, unless someone else does. I do. Dr. Harris, thank you. Dr. Huck, thank you. Now, and this is with us, but not specifically on it. When we get someone, you leave, we bring them up to date on this. I find this extremely important. I find it extremely important on our equity. I see Dr. Macklin shaking his hand. I mean, you have been instrumental, along as well as all the individuals with Dr. Macklin and Dr. Harris and everybody working together. But I found the synergy of you all working together was excellent. It's very important that this continue.
Yes.
Before you leave, can you make sure who was ever there as well?
Yes, you are absolutely correct.
And I don't know how to say, I'm trying to say this nicely. This is an area that we're really gonna miss you, because this is an area we just started this year.
Well, thank you. That means a lot, and the work is so important. So yes, we'll make sure that that folder is on top, and we have that meeting before I go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. So you described the combined goal for these minority women business-owned businesses as 15%. You described that as ambitious. I know you've discussed this during some prior presentations, but can you please remind us what makes 15% an ambitious?
So I'm going to speak from my general knowledge about the DBE program. And let me start here. Missouri's program, the DBE goal, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, is it 10%? I believe it's 10%. I looked on their website today. So 5% more is 15%, and I've traveled a bit and been involved in the DBE program in 3 different states. So for the 15% is very generous in my mind, because unlike some places where they have $1.2 billion in funds, in federal funds, we have a limited amount. And so for us to go that extra mile, it just shows the district's commitment to women and to minorities as well as veterans. And listen, the DBE goal, we can always increase it. The beauty of it is we continually exceed the goal. Does that help?
Well, that was, I think you answered my next question. Are we meeting that goal?
We have exceeded the goal.
This last one, I believe, was 22%.
So whenever we talk about these percentages, my first thought is I'd ideally like to match the demographics of the county. And so if we raise that goal, what would that look like, and how would that affect us?
Can I chime in on that? When the 15% came in, when we went through that, we looked at the policy on that, we looked at the reg on it, that's where we paid list, because we were at 10%. And then we had raised it to 15%, which was much more ambitious than the federal and the state lines had put it. And we as a board, when that policy comes up, or I guess we want that policy to come up, we can raise that. And then, but that's where that was set, if I remember right.
Yes, you're correct. Yeah, there's one other school district we know, and they're at about 10%. And so we're at 15. A lot of the cities and counties fall in that 10 to 19 range. And so with us being 15, it actually came out during the panel when the question was asked of one of the other school districts, you know, where are you in your work? And they just openly said, we're not. And so we are ahead of the game. It doesn't mean we rest. It means we continue to push. But that 15% is a great start. It allows us to take a look, see where that falls on the bids, and then we can move forward.
And keep in mind, as we explore raising that goal, it is imperative that we have a pipeline of businesses who are ready, capable, and able to perform those contractual obligations, which is why it's so critical for us to continue our outreach efforts as we look at underserved and underprivileged communities.
I just want to say, I was there on Saturday. I thought it was very well. I'm excited to see what next year brings, because this will only grow in equal ways. So thank you very much for all of your time with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent report 5.02 is the HR Office and Employee Success Engagement update.
Good evening, President Plum, Vice President Fox, Councilman Dr. Keenan. I'm Philip Boyd, Chief People and Culture Officer, and I have the privilege of leading the Office of Employee Success Engagement. Before we get started, I just wanted to make sure that everybody noticed that much of my team is here. We have grown, so we are no longer small and mighty. We're just getting mighty. You know, there's a saying that if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. We're going fast and far. So, and I would not be able to, and it's not me, it's like the achievements that have occurred thus far has been because of the extreme teamwork that's happened. The expectation of collaboration is an ethos within the department, because with the organization that's the 10th largest employer in the region, you can't get things done if you're trying to go alone. And my team will tell you I'm constantly pushing back on them with questions, and if they're coming to me with things, I'm going to ask, well, what do you think? I'm not the expert on things, but what I try to do is make sure that I can support the growth of everyone in the department. But then I was lucky enough to inherit a really motivated, very intelligent team. I've been lucky enough to be able to be part of hiring some very extremely talented new members of our organization, and I'm very excited to see where we're going to be going in the future. All right. Next slide. So in terms of updates, next slide, I wanted to make sure that we're aware of our team members. Although we have a process right now, we're going to be hiring in our fifth success manager, because we have one that recently left because of an opportunity in another organization. We have a very active employee success team of our director, Dan Kelly, Sarah Schaefer, Jen Salaropoulos, Amanda Marty, and Tamika Buford. They have been extremely busy getting out into our districts, into our schools. They have been conducting stay interviews. To date, we have over 400 stay interviews that have occurred. We are crunching the numbers on those, but what's been so important is that people, the anecdotal response has been, people have been very happy to actually be engaged that way. To actually have the district take it upon itself to reach out and say, hey, we want to know what's going well for you, but also what can we do better. This is a different type of approach to our workforce, but it's the right approach. Next slide.
We have them stand up.
Yes, please stand up.
Stand up, first group, yeah.
Thank you for the name of the case.
Sure.
Do you mind?
All right, stand up again,
Oh,
please.
This is our exercise class.
Let's start over here with Amanda.
Hi, I'm Amanda Marty, support the operations region at SSD.
Sarah Schaefer, I am over the West Region.
Dean Kelly.
Jen Soteropoulos, and I'm in the South Zone.
Tamika Buford, and I have the north.
Thank you.
Next we have what is very new for our district, and actually very new for our region when we start looking at our partner districts, is we have our recruitment and retention team. Will you stand up? Not all of them can make it today, but I want to make sure. Think about it. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm Gwendolyn Harris, recruitment and retention manager.
And Stacey Valdez.
Thank you.
And already, our recruitment team, all of them have been hired within the last basically 2 to 3 months. They've already been busy getting out there to job fairs, working hard on making sure that we are getting together our pipelines, both in terms of our undergraduate pipelines and also our experience pipeline. So again, I have been very lucky to be working with some very motivated and hardworking individuals, and all the success that has happened and will happen is because we have people that are very dedicated to the mission of the district and dedicated to making sure that the district looks good. Next slide, please. A lot of what we've been doing in the department has been trying to really impact the culture of the department as well. It has been a joy to be able to have different conversations around what does it mean to be a leader, what does it mean to really engage in strategic thinking, We've been supporting the team being able to go out and invest in their own professional development, joining regional organizations around human resources, and also making sure that they are not only just joining, but attending many of the professional development opportunities that are around. Next slide, please. We've also been making sure that we've been supporting the individual learning, making sure that and supporting the team taking courses that also the SSD has created through their DEIA department. We have had a lot of interest in making sure that we are inculcating a lot of our processes with a DEIA focus. We've been working very closely with Dr. Macklin. Of course, Dr. Harris is an essential member of many of the things that we've been doing, like looking at how we're screening employees to what is going on with what's happening with the questions on our applications. And so we continue to refine. We are not where we want to be yet, but we're getting there fairly quickly. Next slide. We've also been working on cross-training, making sure that we are setting ourselves up so that we are not siloing ourselves, even within the department, making sure people understand mutual roles, making sure that we're professionally developing our clerks as well. Again, making sure that we are living into the idea of the zone model. We've had our success managers meeting with zone leaders and also getting much more involved in the process of looking at and helping to place employees in zones. Next slide. One of the interesting things that has occurred is like really being able to ask questions about, what are we doing with current technology, and how is it that we're making sure that people have access to real-time technology. One of the things that we've done is we've created what we affectionately call the runway, which provides instant access for our hiring administrators to see where the status is of various candidates. This has helped to also ensure that we have communication with candidates that may have been a little bit slow in getting certain things to us. Because sometimes some of the delays occur because people don't realize, I really do need to check my talent ed accounts to make sure that I'm submitting either I-9 forms and making sure that my background checks are complete. But, and also, just a quick snapshot on some of the activity that we've had since July 1, we've had 142 jobs posted, and that has also meant that we've had roughly 567 new employees brought into the district as well. We've been very hot and heavy with the employee referral bonus. We think that has been a really great investment, and it allows us to also reward our employees for making sure that we are recruiting in excellent candidates. Next. One of the other great things and great hires that we've had is our new data analyst, Sean Pete. Can you stand up, please? Mr. Pete is an experienced information technology professional, an experienced data analyst, and we were lucky enough to recruit him from Ferguson, Florissant. And already, Sean has been involved in meetings with multiple departments, helping us to think how we are integrating the different department technology needs together, and also helping us to rethink some of our processes within OESE. Next slide. Next slide. Employee relations team. And let's start with introduction.
I'm Tracy Barosso, Director of Employee Relations.
Dana Latemps, Employee Relations Manager, 1 of 2.
Amanda Frankie, I'm Employee Relations Manager.
Montez Lewis, Employee Relations Specialist.
Stephanie Gentry, Employee Relations Specialist.
Thank you. Next slide. Our team has been working really hard on creating an automated leave process because of the number of leaves that we have to administer. I know that that has been a source of consternation, but we have finally gotten to a point where we have created an easier process for employees to digitally start a leave process. It is a situation that we continually refine, and we look to even improve it for next year. Next slide, please. We've been able to assist almost 800 employees with the leave process, which is huge. but it also means that we are having a big load on our staff around that. So that's the other reason why we are looking at how do we refine technology. And, you know, I was just having a conversation with Mr. Alan Weed, Dr. Alan Weed over there, about could we use AI to improve some of the processes that we have. And so we will be exploring that very deeply within OESC as well. Next slide. It has been a necessary evolution of our process to make sure that our employee relations has a very tightly aligned relationship with DEIA. We have made sure that DEIA has presence within many of our due process meetings, and again, helping us to look at things through that equity lens so that, well, one, that we really honor our employees, and people understand that when they're dealing with OESC, when they're dealing with our employee relations, that they know that it's a fair process. And it's a process that we've made sure that everybody's voice has been heard, and that we have made sure that there's a lot of equity in the way that we are dealing with people. Next slide. So we've also looked at training. The employee relations group has made sure that they've engaged in equity trainings as a team. This has been also very important in making sure that we continue to have that equity lens. Next slide, please. So what's next? We have additional trainings that are going to be taking place. There are more trainings that DEIA has now and for next year, and already we have planned for our teams to go through those trainings as well. Next slide. One of the other, I think, benefits that has occurred this year has been we've had a tighter alignment in terms of working with our associations. People are used to there being levels of tension between administration and association, but at the end of the day, we're really here for the same thing, which is to make sure that we're living into our mission of serving children, making sure they reach their highest potential. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that we have the right support for our staff. So we've been very much embracing the idea of being proactive, having monthly, if not bi-weekly meetings with our association leaders, and trying to get ahead of issues. Currently, we are in negotiations, and one of the things that we've identified is that starting next year, we're not going to wait for negotiations to address our problems. We want to make sure that we're addressing things ahead of time, really living into the work of the committees, so that we don't get into a situation where people don't feel heard, and also that we're not rushed through the negotiations process to solve systemic problems. Next slide. So one of the other things that Tracy's been leading is making sure that we have additional training for administrators, because some of the gaps that we have found is simply because we had situations where administrators weren't sure of how to approach things, whether it was how we approach investigations, how we approach interviewing and questioning. So she's made sure, she and her team has made sure that they've had situations where they're actually training administrators. Next slide. Benefits update. Cindy, our Director of Benefits.
Hello, I'm Brenda Dooley, artist, and I'm the Director of Insurance and Benefits.
Next slide, please. One of the other things that's been great about what we've been doing with benefits is that we've been aggressive about how can we create a benefits package that is really staff-facing, perhaps innovative, but also continuing to say how can we do things better in terms of making sure that our staff members are supported. Brenda's constantly looking at new ways of approaching benefits. She's been very active in looking at research. She's also been very active in making sure that she's working closely with our MMA consultants and also other partners in the region. Next slide. The board has recently approved a few things like enhanced fertility coverage and chronic pain management and weight loss medication. These all came out of really looking at what is best in class and best practices for organizations, period. Not just for school districts, but how do organizations show support and provide support for the health of their staff members. Next slide. We are also going to be bringing on board our voluntary plans, such as pet insurance, which has been a hit even with some of our partner districts are now talking about they want to offer pet insurance, but also making sure that our supplemental health benefits are effective as well, which is also having us and causing us to look at what are we doing currently with some of our leave options, and talking through some things in the negotiations process as well. And again, so just thinking globally about how benefits works with employee relations, works with supporting things through our offerings through PTO, through any other kinds of leave. Next slide, please. One of the other things that's really important is to also think globally about what wellness looks like. We have, Brenda has pioneered a lot of initiatives around making sure that people have access to virtual offerings for being healthy, also devices, whether it's looking at devices for monitoring, your heart rate, also your walking, but also trying to really live into this idea that wellness is incredibly important for the health of an organization, period. And the healthier your staff members are, the more that we can retain those staff members, and the more that they can show up for children. Next slide. We are continuing with some of our other health programs like Livongo for diabetes and for hypertension. And the important thing about this is that this provides an opportunity for employees to take more ownership of some of their medical conditions. Any questions?
I will just say that, from the board perspective, we're really proud of what you're doing. We're really thankful for the innovative benefits. I think it represents us as a first-class institution and employer to offer that to our employees. And as you guys learn about more things that are out there that other companies are doing, bring it back to us, because I'm just very proud to say that our employees as well.
Definitely, thank you.
I have one question about zone hiring. Can you talk more about that? Like, what do you mean by zone hiring?
Oh, so what we've done is we have a north zone, west zone, south zone, and also central office zone, 4 zones altogether, actually. And what we've been trying to do is to make sure that the zones, we're trying to make sure that we're aligned in terms of candidates coming in and making sure that we can align candidates with zones. So some of the things that we do is to make sure that, like let's say, for instance, Tamika Buford, who is our North Zone manager, what she does is she looks at to make sure that she's on top of the data around where are our vacancies, and how can we make sure that we are getting the right candidates and the right number of candidates for potential vacancies.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion for the approval of the consent items?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, number 8, action items. Okay. Can I have a motion for the closed meeting of Board of Education on April 11th, 2023 at 7 p.m.?
So moved.
I need roll call.
Director Asner?
Yes.
Director Hudson? Director Mueller?
Yes.
Director Cuneo?
Yes.
Vice President Byers?
Yes.
And President Patrick?
Yes. Can I have a motion for the approval of the minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now I read the action items. Following items were approved during the executive meeting on February 28th, 2023. Employment, resignations, retirements, salary adjustments, and extra duty pay, contract release requests, and free workers' comp settlements. Board regulations, informational, I believe it's on there. Board communications. Does anyone have anything? I don't. I just want to say thank you to New Warner. They had, my son was in the talent show on Friday.
What did he do?
He sang, are you ready for this? A 15-year-old sang the theme song to the 50s movie The Blob. Yeah, and he loved it. He's already got next year lined up. The talent show will sing. So thank you very much, New Warner, and everyone who made that possible. All right, calendar events is up shortly.
Yeah.
Well, it's up. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much, everyone.